The first sentences in the college admissions scandal being handed down.
Oh boy, Fox 5 legal analyst Wendy Patrick joining us now to explain. Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning.
Okay, so Felicity Huffman gets whatever she's the 14 days at the spa jail.
Spa jail?
Was that a fair? Well, if you have a sun deck, it's not much of a.
I mean, good point.
But given what, okay, that's a whole other conversation. Were you surprised that she actually got jail time? Because I think they wanted just maybe a couple of years probation.
I'm not surprised,
Yeah.
and I'm glad you started the way you did because I'm going to sort of lay out both sides of the story.
Yes.
So Lady Justice is blind, but remember there are different terms and conditions of punishment that are designed not just to fit the crime, but to fit the criminal. So if you're looking at a financial crime where basically she bought her way into this crime, she
Yeah.
can't then buy her way out of it simply by paying a fine, which of course is a drop in the bucket for what she's worth.
Right.
So then that brings us to, well, was custody warranted? Here what we look at is, was she treated the same way as other similarly situated criminals, or are we punishing her for being famous? We usually use the term celebrity justice to mean one of two things. They're either treated too leniently or they're treated too severely. But the judge wanted to make clear that she sentenced Felicity Huffman basically based on what she did, who she is, and her early admission of guilt and what appeared to be heartfelt remorse. Now, I know she's an actress and people are skeptical, but if you watch that footage of her coming in and out of that courtroom, she looked miserable. And according to almost everyone who witnessed this, she did appear to be genuinely remorseful.
Sure.
The judge took that into consideration as well.
It's literally she got caught with her hand in the cookie jar. Is what?
Yeah.
And it. Okay.
So from what you're saying, you think this would be a fair sentence?
Well,
for her?
remember that without being in possession of all of those facts and circumstances that judge had, it's impossible really to make that determination. And that's one of the reasons that in any case like this, both sides brief everything surrounding the circumstances, the duration, the money, the background. However, Raul, to your point, I did hear a comedian last night say, you know, I could buy a carton of milk the day she reports for prison and it would still be good when she got out. So I get it. And I get that that's the sentiment of some.
That's pretty good.
But for somebody that's lived in luxury her whole life,
Sure.
even one night
Sure.
in custody is pretty bad. 2 weeks, that's both sanctionable and symbolic.
There you go. I'm dying to get to the Aunt Becky thing because if Lori Loughlin decided to not plea and not, she's going to trial. And
right.
she sees this. How nervous is Lori Loughlin right now?
It
because
depends on-
her deal was, I mean, there was a lot more money here. There was a lot more criminal activity, if you will, in her case than in Felicity Huffman's case.
That's right. So Huffman basically paid to have her daughter's SAT scores changed.
Right.
Loughlin, on the other hand, wanted both of her daughters admitted to USC crew when neither had ever used an oar. Now, I don't know if that's fair to the daughters either. Can you imagine what that's going to be like the first day in practice?
Sure.
But that aside, the amount of money is also different, $15,000 for Huffman and $500,000 for Loughlin.
Right.
But we really don't know what kind of a defense she has. I mean, it's so fun to sort of stand on the sidelines and wonder, well, is she nervous? Why didn't she express guilt and remorse earlier? Or does she have some sort of a defense? And I know that the court of public opinion has arrested, tried, and convicted her. And here we're talking about what's her sentence going to be. But I think what everybody's going to do is probably sit back and wait till we actually have a trial, which
Right.
due process mandates. But it is true that looking at the fact that she faces a potential of 40 years, most people don't think she'd get that much, but that's the maximum. Whereas in
Yeah.
Huffman's case, the federal prosecutors were only recommending 1 month. That tells you a lot of
Sure.
the discussions behind the scenes there
But
as
going
well.
back to Lori Loughlin, it certainly doesn't help her case that the guy who planned this whole thing, the guy behind it all, is not cooperating, and he
Right.
has all the paper trails and everything else.
That's right. Singer is singing. He's the mastermind Singer, and he pled guilty very early. And we really don't know the extent of the cooperation except to say that there has been an extensive amount. And who knows how many potential defendants are going to be affected by this, and that could mean more guilty pleas to come.
Oh boy.
Yeah, interesting
mean,
story, developing story for sure.
You know, and Huffman said she was trying to be a good mom. I was like, no, that's not how that works.
That's-
Wendy Patrick, thank you.
Thank you.
Interesting.